Welcome to 5 and 5 from the one-stop co-op shop where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Kapow, a dice-based brawling game with competitive, solo, and cooperative options. And a disclaimer that I was sent both sets 1 and 2 as review copies for this one. If you've watched the channel much, you know that I'm a pretty big fan of 1v1 brawling games. How does Kapow and its solo mode stand up? Let's find out and get to the list. So the first thing that stands out to me about the game is the randomness of the dice rolling, as you can imagine in a dice-based game, and this one is a mix for my taste. On the positive side, having randomness in the dice you roll and the results you get kind of add to the diversity of the play options and the different ways you can handle your actions in each round, make the puzzle more interesting and consistently engaging. And additionally, even things that seem like bad luck, like blanks, can often be used for a lot of results anyway, so there aren't really like dead rolls necessarily. But that being said, on the negative side, sometimes you just don't get what you need, and your opponent does, and they totally wallop you, and that can be a little bit frustrating. And I find the swinginess is much more pronounced with the AI, because they can get like really horrifically powerful things, and also they can level up faster than you can if they keep on getting like the same results over and over. So sometimes the AI kind of runs away with the game and just destroys you, and the randomness certainly contributes to that. The next thing to call out about the game is the variety in characters, both for the solo mode and for competitive play. And this is a pro for my taste. So similar to one of my favorite games, Bullet, for each character you can play, you also have a boss version of them. And in each of the 2 sets, you get 6 characters, so that's 6 fighters and 6 solo opponents. And I think they struck the right balance here of not overwhelming you with unique elements for each character. So for each of the player characters, generally you have like 4 special abilities, some of which you don't even need to activate with dice, which might not seem like a ton, but since you already have so much stuff going on with the main action board, if they did more than that, I think it could get overwhelming. And similarly, the solo sides might look like they have maybe too much going on, but a lot of this is repeated from solo to solo. So again, like each character might have maybe 3 or 4 rows that are unique. So once you kind of learn the game, it's pretty straightforward to play these. So some people might want more variety and want them to be even more different from each other, but I think it makes the game more accessible to have the unique elements not too crazy. My next thing to call out about the game is the growth of your dice pool, how you kind of level up your character, and for my taste, this is a mix. On the positive side, it is a cool element compared to other fighting games that you are like leveling up throughout the game, that you can do more and more stuff and activate stronger and stronger actions, that you have a lot of control in how you level up, especially with like these little action dice where you can slot in different faces and all of that. But on the negative side, as I already mentioned, for the solo mode, the solo bot can kind of level up in swingy ways that can make the game easier or harder. Also, the solo bots often take an action that penalizes you pretty severely, like causing tons of automatic damage to you if you level up your stuff. So I feel like sometimes the game is like actively discouraging you from leveling up your dice pool, which I don't think is like the fun they should lean into with the system. And a final complaint, these die faces sometimes lead to the dice being unbalanced. Like depending on where you put the faces, sometimes you'll, look at this, get results over and over, like the randomness can kind of be affected. And also, it can be a little bit annoying to pull them off. Sometimes the faces don't stick in the die as well. So it's cool as like this building a die mechanic is. It's got some like component frustrations and limitations. The number 2 thing I want to call out, since I'm focusing on the solo mode, is the solo activation itself. And again, for my taste, this is a mix. So the system is pretty straightforward. You roll all the dice for the opponent, and you go from top to bottom and fill in what you can. So like this one is 3 of a kind that aren't blank. Okay, I've got that. Or 2 of a kind. Okay, I've got that. So it's like pretty straightforward to fill in the dice. It's a pretty simple system, and it gives some nice variety while still like having them do things that make sense. Like if they have mostly attack dice, they're going to tend to attack you a lot. But the thing that makes this a mix for me is while it's pretty straightforward to actually put their dice in, I find it a little bit fiddly to actually run their turn, because you have to do their attack, you have to do their defense, you have to do their power up, these like very specific phases. And for the player board, those are very clearly laid out. It's very easy to do. Like everything goes from left to right, and you like see exactly which phases things happen. But for the solo fighters, by necessity, things are all spread out. So they might get some attack from here, they might get some attack from an automatic power here, they might get some attack here, they might get some attack here. So you're kind of like searching for results and adding things together, and it can be a little bit fiddly. But getting to my number 1 point, the thing I think is most important about the game, and for my taste, this is a pro, and that's the dice placement. So you roll all these dice, and it might seem kind of like obvious where to put them, but actually I think the game does a great job of giving you lots of options and variety in how you use your things. Because so many action spaces let you use any die or let you use any pair, so you can like attack with a defensive die sometimes, or defend with an attacking die. Then you have other options like penalizing your opponent or gaining more dice, powering up, using your special character abilities. So kind of like figuring out how to get off these like huge abilities, or figuring out like which options you want to go for, especially because, you're not exactly sure what the solo is going to do, whether they're going to attack or defend more, or in the competitive play, what your opponent is going to do behind their screen. I think this is a pretty cool thing, and I think if you like dice placement, you're going to enjoy it too. So overall, I think Kapow is worth checking out if you like brawling games like me, if you like dice placement and dice choices, and also if you enjoy games where you build a sort of simple engine and level up. But on the other hand, you might want to avoid this one if you don't like randomness and dice luck, if you don't like solo modes where you have to kind of manage the enemy a bit, and also if you're into battling games with a heavy spatial element like BattleCon and Exceed, like things like range and stuff, you might feel a bit let down by the simple combat in this one. And I have a full playthrough of the solo mode in action. You can check that out if you want to see the game. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.